Merci, mon général. On est prêt à prendre des questions à Bruxelles. If there are any questions in English or in French. Kuwaiti News Agency. AP.
General Slobodan Lekic from the Associated Press. You're certainly aware of the controversy surrounding the exact circumstances of Gaddafi's death. We've been told that NATO planes struck the convoy in which Gaddafi was fleeing twice, and that the reason for that was because it presented a threat to civilians. Colonel Lavoie told us this. Could you explain the exact threat that that convoy was posing? Because when we saw the vehicles, they didn't seem to be armed. They weren't carrying anti-aircraft guns or anything like that. So what was the exact nature of the threat that vehicles fleeing from Sirte would have posed?
I think, first of all, let me make it perfectly clear that we saw a convoy, and in fact, we had no idea that Gaddafi was on board. In fact, I was surprised that Gaddafi was in Sirte area that late in the conflict. Second is this preparation of this convoy started with 175 vehicles in the Sirte area being lined up and ready to go. They started to make their way out, and one of the potential outcome of this was concern that forces from Sirte would join up with what were the remnants of forces from Bani Walid, and that we could see movement into another built-up area where we would see another group of part of the civilian population held hostage while efforts were made to build up and to continue to disrupt. This was a judgment. And then we went on from there to, first of all, attempt to break down the convoy, to break it into manageable chunks and to slow it down. And that's what we did. And we put our weapon systems on the convoy twice, and we achieved the aim of stopping the convoy and slowing it down. There were rocket and machine guns on some of the pickup trucks, and it was, for us, in our assessment, a clear threat, potential threat to the population.
Kuwaiti News Agency.
Nawab Khan from the Kuwait News Agency, Kuna. General, how significant or how decisive was the contribution of the Arab countries in achieving this victory? I mean, in the NATO campaign. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question. The contribution of every nation was critical to the success of this mission. For the Arab countries, they helped us understand the culture. They helped us understand what was going on the ground. They provided assistance in plans and in targeting and in various other, and in fact some of them completed, air activities, be it air patrolling or provision or bombing missions in the area. But throughout, to me, the best advice was the knowledge of the culture and their advice to me as to how to continue with this mission and how to interpret what we saw on the ground. Most helpful. But all of the 28 nations plus the 4 partners all play a role together. And this is what makes this mission a success, is the fact that all of the nation came together with their partners with one goal in mind. That's all.
El País.
Martínez de Rituerto with El País from Spain. Good afternoon, General. One question dealing with the threats to the people. You've said that the pro-Gaddafi forces have no command and control capabilities right now, but is there any chance that there could be some pockets of resistance in the country? We don't know yet in which areas. And since NATO is planning to leave in this next month, the 1st of November, is for the NTC to keep order and to attack these forces should they produce any attacks, or they intend to do anything? Thank you.
It's a very good question. Thank you very much. And this goes back, though, to our mission, which is protection of the civilian population. Our assessment is that the threat of organized attack against the population has been stopped. This is a very large country, 1,300 kilometers frontage by another 800 kilometers depth. It's very likely that there will be individuals left out there. But from our perspective, what we're really considering here is the threat such that it can be handled by NTC forces. And our assessment at this point is that it is so. And therefore, as we considered that Libya now is liberated, as offered and declared by the NTC, we're also witnessing police forces being created, graduation of a first course of recruit for the army, that a command and control structure is in existence for the NTC forces. So we are seeing that they are able to deal with these problems, and the combination of our assessment that these problems can be dealt with the NTC and that the NTC has indeed the capability to do so lead us to the reflection that for us it's quite appropriate to terminate the mission.
General, we can go to Naples if there are any questions there. If not, we've got quite a few others in Brussels.
Thank you, General. Jeff Zazulowicz with Stars and Stripes. In the past, NATO's been criticized as kind of a two-tier organization where only certain member states have done the so-called heavy lifting when it comes to combat. Do you see the operation in Libya as confirming that perception, or has this changed the internal dynamic, in reference to the states who have kind of taken the lead, so to speak, or are there still, is there still an imbalance, within NATO member states in terms of what they can and will do in operations?
First of all, I will limit my observation to our own mission, Operation Unified Protector. And therefore, the first point I will say is that everybody played a role. And in this case, some people provided kinetic activity, bombing, others provided ships, and others helped and assisted, either being on the staff, the airborne early warning, and others made some action that on other fronts and other theater, which enabled the freeing of individuals for the mission itself. So to me, everybody played a role. Second, I think when we look at NATO, we should not look at NATO for 7 months. We should look at NATO for the last 20 years and for the next 20 years. And what we're seeing is that there's capabilities continue to improve. And each nation has the sovereign right to decide how much it will bring to this alliance. But it's certainly, from what I saw in my perspective, from my perspective right now, is that all nations played a role in it, albeit at different levels. But then again, others played a more important role in other theaters. So it's a matter of balancing and looking at the whole spectrum of operation of NATO over a long period of time, not just 7 months.
Good morning. I'm Paolo Santalucia from Associated Press. You and the Secretary General wished peaceful coexistence to the people of Libya. But according to your information, what are the risks of a tribal war in Libya after the end of this part of the conflict? And which are the risks that the weapons that were left by Gaddafi loyalists could fall in the hands of terrorists or anyway go out of control? Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question. First of all, with regards to the internal relationships within the nations, I believe that this question should be best answered by the NTC. From our perspective, and it was clear in the announcement by Mr. Jalil yesterday that one Libya is what they want, a unified Libya together. We've seen them unified under the goal of seeking their freedom, and I'm confident that they'll be able to find their way as well, to find a unified Libya as they develop themselves and find their way. Obviously, there will be challenges along the way, but obviously, it's certainly, in my opinion, a workable outcome. The second point with regards to weapons, there are a great deal of weapons out there. I am very confident that very few of those weapons, if any, left by sea or air, which was our mission. With regards to movement on the ground, there's over 3,000 kilometers of border along this country, borderline around this country, which borders on nations that are not necessarily most supportive of reducing the movement of illegal weapons. So there will be challenges in the future, and here again, we count on the NTC to establish as soon as possible secure border area to minimize the movement of it. And regrettably, from our perspective, we continue to ensure that no such weapons are moved from the air and at sea, but the situation on the ground will remain a national responsibility for the NTC as a sovereign nation to take the action it requires to stop it. There are no further Naples questions, Oana. I'll return back to Brussels.
Many thanks. Agence Belga, Belgian News Agency.
It could be in French. Oui. Gérard Gaudin de Belga. Est-ce que, à côté des chiffres globaux du nombre de sorties, etc., est-ce qu'il y a moyen d'avoir éventuellement des statistiques plus fines avec le nombre de sorties attribuées à chaque pays, de façon à pouvoir mesurer l'effort de certains peut-être plus petits pays?
Merci pour votre question, monsieur. Les opérations sous Unified Protector, pour moi, c'est des opérations de l'OTAN. Il n'y a pas de question si une nation ou une autre a donné plus ou moins. Alors, les statistiques que vous demandez, ce sont des statistiques que je ne tiens pas, mais que chaque nation peut vous donner. Mais de ma perspective, il y a seulement un type de sortie qui s'est passé, et c'était la sortie de l'OTAN, pas une sortie d'un pays en particulier. Merci.
Mais Gérard, je crois qu'il faut aussi dire que la Belgique, comme tous les autres alliés, ont joué un rôle très important par leur engagement, par leur contribution du début à la fin de cette opération qui, bien sûr, n'est pas encore achevée. Le Conseil de l'Atlantique du Nord a pris une décision préliminaire. Ce sera dans les prochains jours pour une décision formelle. Mais ce qui est clair, c'est que ça a été un gros travail d'équipe et que la Belgique a joué pleinement son rôle dans cette équipe qui a rempli le mandat de l'ONU. Dutch media.
Leonor Kuiktrouw, newspaper. Rasmus said NATO will leave at 31 of October, but at the same time he's discussing about this with UN and NTC. So is it possible that it will be later? And considering the problems you mentioned, is it possible that some NATO troops will stay on the ground? And were there any countries within NATO suggesting to stay any longer?
As I said, and as you know, last Friday, the North Atlantic Council took a preliminary decision regarding Operation Unified Protector. The decision is that it should end on October the 31st. The formal decision remains to be taken by the North Atlantic Council in the next few days. That is a political decision, and I will not prejudge that decision. But clearly, an operation, a very complex operation such as Unified Protector, which has 3 different mandates, enforcing the no-fly zone, the arms embargo, and the protection of civilians, can't be turned on or off like a switch. This takes some time. But there is no intention of keeping armed forces in the neighborhood of Libya after the end of the operation, which the North Atlantic Council has decided in a preliminary fashion that it should end on the 31st of October. General, I don't know if you want to add to that.
I could not have said it better myself. We work under the direction of the North Atlantic Council, and I await their direction this week. Thank you.
ABC from Spain.
Good afternoon, General. There are some comments now saying that Libya could be the next Somalia. What do you think about that?
I disagree. It's that simple. There is the infrastructure is still in place. That country has the capability to bring back revenues. There's a great deal of potential in that country beyond oil. And we have people who want peace, who want prosperity, who want stability. With all of these combined together, I don't think that the comparison of Libya to the next Somalia is an appropriate comment at this time.
I think these are all the questions we have from Brussels, General. I don't know if there are any more questions in Naples.
Do we have any more questions here? No? I think this completes it, Oana. Thank you very much for giving us some time. Thank you very much for your support. And once again, at the end of the day, this was 28 nations, 4 partners who got involved to fulfill and to complete tasks and wishes of the North Atlantic Council. We've met those objectives, and today the people of Libya will benefit from it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, General Bouchard, and thank you very much to your very dedicated and hard-working team for getting the job done. It's not yet entirely done, but we're almost there. Thank you very much indeed.